Hi Debbie, I remember weeks and weeks ago I promised that I would send you a video or create you a video of how to sharpen a pair of shears. You probably already learned how to do it now, and I know you've done a pair, but I thought I'd share this with you to start with. And so here are my shears. They're nice expensive, what were they made? Who were they made? Wilkinson sword shears, but I don't use them very often and they don't get sharpened very often. But here they are. And I think the first thing you have to, or people have to know when they're sharpening or even using these things, is how they work. And it's a lot more complex than one might think. It's not just simply two blades that slide against each other. If I open these up and I turn them, it's a bit difficult to actually do it back to front. But if you look at this blade, can you see that it curves? It curves very slightly in towards the other blade, and when you look at the other blade, it too has a curve, slight curve, curving this way. And you may think, well, why on earth would that happen? Well, what it does, it causes these blades to spring against one another, and so when you're cutting like so, instead of the whole of the blade being in contact with itself, or both blades being in contact all the way down, which would make it much harder to pull them together, the spring loading effect of these curved blades means that at the cutting point, this is the bit that's obviously doing the damage to whatever it is you're cutting, your finger or a piece of grass. And so this is the point here, because of the curving of the blades and the springy effect, the blades are only contacting each other at this point as they go down, all the way down. So now it's at this point, now it's at this point, and if you're lucky and you can get them to keep sprung right to the end, the very end here, the very end of the blade, there we go, yeah, the very end of the blade should also cut, okay, if the blades are sprung together. And you can hear, possibly, I don't know whether you can hear if I pull this up close enough, these have already been sharpened, but I can still demonstrate what they're all about, what it's all about. You can hear all the way down this lovely noise, and that's how they're supposed to be. Okay, so that's the first thing to notice, that there's this bend in each of the blades. And of course, when you put the blades right together, there is no bend, because they're now flattened out tight against each other. So that's the first thing. Now, unlike most scissors, if you open the blades up, the blades are of a different shape, a different cross section, and so this blade, which is what I would call the left-hand blade, this is my left hand operating it. So this is the left-hand blade here, and if you notice the thickness of this blade, it's about 1/8 of an inch thick, and it's only very shallowly sharpened. And the thickness, of course, makes this blade a little stronger, possibly than the top blade. And this is what I don't, it's probably got a technical term, but this is what I would refer to as the anvil, if you like. This is the bit that you're cutting against, and you sharpen it. And the way you sharpen it, it has a very shallow angle. And here I've got a whetstone, and this whetstone I've had for absolutely ages. It's just like the one Dad used to use and taught us all about, but you can buy all sorts of different types of stones. You can even buy little pocket ones that you can fold up and keep in your pocket, which are very, very useful for sharpening knives when you're out walking or whatever, and you need a blade with you. And so this is a grinding block, a whetstone that I've got, and you probably won't be able to see it on the video. You may be able to, but this whetstone has a soft, fine sharpening side and a coarse grinding side. Now I've got to be very careful I don't grind it over the laptop. But so what you do is you can hold this any way you like. You hold it like this, hold it by the blade, hold it by here. I tend to do this, and then you pick up simply you look down the blade and you can see the very basic slight angle of the blade, and then using the rough stone, and I've got a little bit of oil here, it's an oil stone or a wet stone, you can use water or a bit of oil, a little bit of oil on there. You then use this and you feel for the angle, you can see it. If it's a dirty blade, you can see as soon as you start sharpening it, the edges, one edge or both edges will become silver, and so you can soon find out which edge, and you can hear it actually now grinding. So it's just a shallow angle away from you on the anvil, and you go right to the end and you need to make sure that all the sort of dirty marks and so forth that are there disappear, so it's all shiny all the way down, and then it's sharpened. And sometimes you might just simply have to concentrate a bit more on the end, as long as you don't turn the blade into some sort of wavy line. Try and keep it straight, and the fact that you've got a wide stone helps to do that. And so I sharpen away from the edge like so, so slide it down and across, and give some pressure. Make sure you don't slip off, because then you end up in terrible trouble. And go right into here, and get it looking nice and shiny and smooth with that slight angle all the way down. Right, I'll finish at that point, I'll come back to it later. So that was the anvil. Now if you look at what I would refer to as the cutting blade, okay, you can see here that it's cut slightly differently. It's got a large piece, a large angle taken out of here, which leaves you then with a very much thinner blade section. So this is very much more like a bush knife type blade, where the bulk of the blade, the cutting edge, has been ground away, and all of it's been hollow ground with a circular grinder, but that doesn't matter for the moment. So on this blade, the actual cutting surface is very, very much narrower, but the process of sharpening is the same. It has an angle that goes slightly, not much. You don't want it turn it into a razor blade where the edge will break. You just want to take off a very slight angle and clean up the blade. So using the same whetstone, we do the same operation, and we go from here and we run down it right to the end. I hope you can't hear my stomach rumbling. I have actually just had some breakfast. You can actually feel it and hear it cutting, and once you've got that edge, you can feel it with your thumb. Don't do that, but obviously you can feel it with your thumb or your finger, and you can feel the sharpness of it coming. But sometimes you'll find that you're doing too much of an angle, and all you're doing is cutting away the back edge, and you're not touching the cutting side. So you have to get the angle just right. And I don't know what the angle actually is. There's probably an official angle, but as long as it's just shallow angle. And while I'm doing this bit, when it comes to scissors rather, they're very much the same. Scissors are very much the same. Some very nice scissors will have this same anvil and knife edge type thing, but most scissors will have just two sharp cutting blades like this that look like this. And so the process with the knife, sorry, I keep saying knives, the process with a pair of scissors is virtually the same as what I'm doing now. In fact, it is exactly the same as I'm doing now. So you just sharpen the two edges, which on a pair of scissors are likely to be the same, and on a pair of shears are likely to be an anvil and a knife. And then once you've got that, it's easier to do that way, and you can feel the sharpness of it. And once you've done that, you can then turn the blade over to its softer side. We've all got a soft side, haven't we? And so have our whetstones, and you put a little bit of oil on that, and then you just finish it off in the same way, but with a nice fine, and you can feel now that it's nice and smooth and it's not gripping the whetstone anywhere, it's just going all the way down. Just make sure that that little end piece is done. So that's that one. Come back to the anvil, finish that one off with the fine stone. Normally I have a bit of cloth. I should have a bit of cloth just to wipe the oil off, but I haven't. I've just got an apron on my, it's the same apron with my Bob Ross photograph. Sorry. Typical bloke, I can't actually do two things at once. I can't talk properly and sharpen a pair of shears. What I'm trying to say, on the back of my apron here is my picture that I painted as a wave in the form or style of Mr. Bob Ross, the painter. Right, so that, and you can now feel how much smoother it is, having just run over it a few times with the smooth side. It just smooths out the roughness that was caused by the coarse side of the block. And so now we've got a pair of shears. Cut the knife, we've sharpened the knife edge, we've sharpened the anvil, we've checked the curve. And then the only other thing, apart from getting maybe some wire wool and cleaning all the mess off, which you can do, is to make sure that this is tight enough. Now most people have shears that are far too loose, so you have to put a bit of effort into them. But now if you listen to this, if you can hear this, I've since just doing what I've done. Right to the end, and they will be sharp now, right down to the end. And I say, and if you're like me and a bit pedantic, and I don't look after my tools that well, to be honest. I don't do this often enough because I don't use them that much. But the nice thing to do now is just to get some very fine wire wool with some oil and just clean all this mess, clean up all the mess, and make them look brand new again. The other thing to note on well, look at this. See where this comes together? They've got rubber stops, and the idea of those little stops there, here, is to make sure that you don't over extend the blade. So the blades, if you didn't have this, the blades would not only cross over and end up like that, but also if you didn't have something like this, it's very easy to go and you bang your knuckles together on the old style ones. So that's why these things are there. But you can see on mine they've slipped, and the reason they've slipped, there we go, one of the reasons they've slipped is this handle here has split which I hadn't noticed before, and so I need to open that up, maybe put a little bit of glue in there, whack it back into place where it should be, because they should be the same length, the handles, and they're not. I need to open this up, put some glue in, whack it back into place, and then put a Jubilee clip around it, maybe just to hold it in place while it dries. That would be perfect. And then the final thing that you need to do is just, if you need to tighten them, to get them tight, they should not be floppy. There should be no floppiness at any point. They might have a nut and a bolt. They might, like this one, have a captive head here and an Allen key type tightener. So you just put something in there, and what I tend to do is like with a wheel bearing on a car, you tighten it so it can't move, and then you slowly bring it back until it feels comfortable, but it's giving you a bit of exercise. You want it to be tight enough that you're feeling it. You know, if you did this all day, you'd get a brilliant workout